Hello, we're going to be taking the last video in which we did rational expressions and how to rewrite them, and we're going to be putting them into equations. So let's just jump in and get started. So just like what we always do when we are working with our different functions, I like to highlight the function that we're working with. And so in this case, we are working with the rational exponent function. And so I have highlighted that piece of it. So the rest of it, again, it looks like a regular equation. Think of that as your x plus 6 equals the negative 1,023. And we're going to solve it just like what we would until we get down to the rational exponent part of it. And so, again, we are going to minus the 6 over. And we're just rewriting. So negative 1,029, let's divide by the 3, negative. On there, we've got 4 minus 5a. I'm going to keep that in parentheses to the 3/2 power. And do a quick division, so that would be 343, it looks like. Okay, now, here is where we become how to solve an equation. And if you'll go back to the fact that when we have an x squared equation, remember we took the square root of it, which we now know that the square root means 1/2. And so really what we're doing is we are doing the reciprocal power every time. Okay, reciprocal power, because then that makes it equal to 1. So in this case, we are going to be taking this equation to the reciprocal power, which is the 2/3 power, and therefore I must take this side to the 2/3 power. When I multiply these two together, we're going to cancel, we're going to get 1, which means what's left over is simply just the 4 minus 5a. Now on this side, this is where our rational exponents that we just worked with comes into play. And so we want 343 to the 2/3 power. So which means, what is the cube root of 243? And if you cannot remember that, you can put it into your calculator, but that would be 7. And then 7 squared would be 49. Okay? And I may or may not have showed you how to put that into your calculator. It definitely is something that you should be able to do in your head, but I know that some of you will struggle with that. So now we have a very simple equation, and we can continue to solve. So minus 4, and that's 45, and divide, and we have a negative 9. Okay? Now, with rational exponents, there is typically not an extraneous root that we need to be careful with, but it never hurts to double check, because it is possible that we could be wanting to take the square root of a negative value. So since this is to the 3/2, that is meaning that I am taking the square root of the 4a minus 5 times a. So we would need to make sure that in this case that this is not a negative value. Okay, so negative 9 times a negative 5, there's going to give me a positive, plus 4, we're good. Okay, so it doesn't hurt to check that. And especially if you're taking it to an even root. In other words, if your bottom number is a 2, 4, 6, so forth. Okay, let's just try another one. So again, this is my rational function. It's already solved for it. We don't have any other numbers beside it. Therefore, I can just go ahead and take this whole thing to the 2/3. I'm going to take this also to the 2/3, and I really didn't need those parentheses. So the cube root of 216, what is that? That I can't do off the top of my head. I haven't used that number for a while. Let's see what it would be. I believe it's 6, but let's just double check. Yep, it's 6. So the cube root of 216 is 6. 6 squared would be 36. Okay? And again, these I kind of do like that with them because they're going to cancel. And I've got r minus 23. We're now going to solve it, add 23 to both sides. Okay, and my final answer would be 59. Okay, and done. Okay, let's try another one here. And so on this one, again, this is my rational function here. There is a negative out in front on there that kind of highlighted that. So let's see if I can, here you go, there's my, and so I do need to get rid of that negative to start off. So we're going to divide by a -1, and I have 216. Now, one of the things that's going to happen is as you do these more and more, you're going to get familiar with the cube roots and the square roots on that. And we probably should have made a list if we haven't of all of those, just to make just real quick for you to see those. So again, I am now going to do the reciprocal root, okay, which is what we just did. So the cube root of 216 is 6. 6 squared is 36. And we still have the 3m plus 123. Let's go ahead and do some solving real quick. We're going to move over the 123 on that. And so we've got 36 minus 123, which is a -87. And let's divide. And so we have a -29. Okay, final answer. Again, just kind of do a quick double check up there. If I take 3 times 29, that is going to give me 87. So that is a -87 here. Okay, plus 123, which is still a positive number. I'm going to take the square root of that. That negative here is outside, so that just goes on your final answer. So I'm good. Okay. Okay, let's do another one here. So again, there's not very much variation in the powers there, but we have another 3/2 one. So I'm going to start off with moving the 5. And that's going to give me -3,645. We're going to divide off the -5. So I still have the 3x plus 54 to the 3/2 equals, and then let's just divide that out. So that's going to give me 729. Does that sound right? Trying to do that in my head. 3,645 divided by 5. Yep, very good. Okay, and then we're going to take, again, this to the 2/3 power, 2/3 here. Those cancel. I get 3x plus 54 equals, and I believe the cube root of 729 is 9, which is true. And then 9 squared would be 81. Okay, let's continue to solve. And 27, I believe, and divide, x equals 9. Okay, so again, the only thing that would be different in these, of course, is to change that rational. It could be any number on there. So I'm going to skip number 5. I'll probably let you guys do that. So if you want to pause it and write it down and go ahead and simplify that, you can definitely take care of that. I want to show you number 6, though, because number 6 is written as a radical, which is not a big deal on there. So if you think about how we solved our square roots, we're going to do the same thing. So this, again, is our rational piece of it. So I need to move the 9. So I'm going to get a -4. I need to divide off the -2. Okay, now remember, when we have a square root, we square both sides. So if we have a cube root, we're going to cube both sides. Okay, the square or the cube and cube roots cancel. I have r minus 30 equals 8, and move r 30 over, and we get 38. Final answer, and I'm done. Okay, on there. Now, I definitely could have, in this case, if you had wanted to, not necessary, not something I probably would have done, but you definitely could have rewritten this to the 1/3 power. Okay, that is exactly the same problem. Exactly. Okay, let's just look through real quick and see if we've got some, we'll go through, let's do number 8, because it's now to a 4/3 power. So again, there's your rational part of it. So I'm going to add 4. 1, 2, 4, oops, sorry, forgot what I was doing. 1, 2, 5, 0. To the 4/3. I'm going to go ahead and divide off that 2. So that's 625. X plus 8 to the 4/3. And now when I go to do, again, my reciprocal, it will be to the 3/4 to both sides. So these will cancel. I'm going to be left with, again, just the x plus 8. And when I go to do the 4th root of 625, and let's see, what would that be? Is it 5? Yep. So, and then 5 cubed would be 125. Okay. Again, if you can't do that as fast, that's not a big deal. You can run it in your calculator on there. Again, the hope would be that you could do it in your head, because you'll probably have to do some in your head. You'll probably be given at least a quiz where you have to do that. But you'll have your calculator for these equations. Okay, and final answer. Okay, so let's just look through. I really don't think there's that many difference. I know I put quite a few here on the worksheet. I don't know that we will do them all, but 100%, if you want to kind of start working through some of those, you definitely could try those. We'll review some of these in class also. Okay, well, good luck on these, and hopefully there's no questions, but if there is, don't hesitate to ask.